So yogis have been practicing for almost a day in the Satipatthana meditation practice. First of all, I would like to explain how one should be noting. In Vipassana meditation, there is a saying, Yatha Pajatam Vipassana Vinivedo. It means that in the practice of Vipassana, one should be mindful of the object that is most prominent, that is most obvious at the present moment. In the sitting meditation, for most of the people, while breathing normally, for most of the people, rising and falling of the abdomen is obvious. So that's why yogis are advised to be noting rising, falling as the primary object. Because in ourselves, among nama and rupa, among mentality and materiality, rupa, materiality, is more obvious. Among rupa materiality, the four elements, the four dhatu, are more obvious. Among the four elements, vayu dhatu, air element, is most obvious. So in rising, falling, the vayu dhatu, air element, is most obvious. That's why rising and falling of the abdomen can be noted as the primary object. So while noting the primary object, rising, falling, please focus the mind so that the mind will be direct with the object, and put effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of meditation. In this way, yogi has to be noting the object, aiming, directing the mind, putting effort in noting. If rising, falling is not clear, one can put one's palm of the hand on the abdomen and note rising, falling. For some people, rising, falling may not be clear. There are those who have been practicing other methods before. So when they come to this retreat, if they are getting mixed up because they have been practicing other methods before, if they are unable to note rising, falling because they keep on mixing up with what they have been practicing before, in this case, they can be noting, sitting, touching. Sitting, be mindful of the whole body sitting, note it sitting, touching between the buttock and the cushion, touching as touching, sitting, touching between the two hands as touching. In this way, if rising, falling is not clear, one can note sitting, touching, sitting, touching. In this way, one can be noting rising, falling, or sitting, touching as the primary object. So one has to be noting the primary object with continuity of mindfulness. At times, while noting the primary object, other objects can come obvious. For example, while noting rising, falling, one's mind might be distracted by a thought. If it happens, if the mind gets distracted by a thought, note it as thinking. Usually the thinking stops after noting it, then come back to the primary object. At times, some sensations might arise, such as pain. If pain arises, focus on it. Note the pain with patience. Note it as pain, until it goes away. After that, come back to rising, falling. Or if any feeling arises in the mind, for example, if one feels upset, note it as upset. If one feels happy, note it as happy. And afterwards, come back to the primary object. Or at times, if the mind gets distracted by hearing, note it as hearing a few times. Then come back to rising, falling. Or today meditation, if the mind gets distracted by mental images, just note it as seeing a few times and then come back to the primary object. Or if sleepiness arises, focus the mind on it, note it as sleepy. So it was just a brief reminder how one should be noting during the day meditation. And tomorrow the interviews will take place. So I will explain how one should be reporting during the interview. So when one comes to interview, one must start reporting from the primary object. When noting rising, falling, for example, yeah. So you should report whether you are able to note rising, falling. If you are able to note rising, falling, if you are noting rising, yeah, if you are able to note rising, what is it that you know when you note rising? Do you just know it as rising, or do you notice form or shape of the abdomen, or do you just notice the manner of rising, or do you notice any nature such as stiffness, tension, hardness, or warmth? So if you are able to note rising, you should also explain what is it that you notice when noting rising. When you note falling, if you are able to note falling, and if you are able to note falling, what you come to know? You just know it as falling, or do you notice the form or shape of the abdomen, or do you notice the manner of falling, or do you notice relaxation or movement? If you haven't noticed any of it, you can just say that you are aware of rising, falling. And you explain whether you can note rising, falling precisely or not. So, noting rising, falling, if you are able to note rising, falling, you just explain what you notice. And how long you can keep the mind on the rising falling. Whether you can keep the mind on the rising falling for 4, 5 rising falling or 10 rising falling, just an estimate. After noting rising falling, what happened? Is it the wandering mind that distracts the noting mind? So if wandering mind arises, whether you are able to note it as wandering, whether you can note wandering as soon as the wandering arises or after a few minutes. In this way, you should report whether you are able to note the wandering, how long that you notice the wandering after it arrives. And when you noted the wandering, what happened to it when you noted wandering? Did it stop? Did it go on? Did it disappear? In this way, you should report what happened to it when you noted it. If you have been noting, sitting, touching, if you are noting sitting, what do you notice? Is it the form or shape of the body sitting that you notice? Or just the manner of sitting? Or any of the natures such as hardness, stiffness, or warmth? What is it that you come to know when you note sitting? And when you note touching, what do you notice? You just know it as touching, or whether you come to know any nature such as hardness or heat or warmth or what? In the sitting meditation, if you experience pain, whether you are able to note pain, you have to report whether you can note pain. And if you note pain, what kind of pain is it? Whether it is weak pain or stiff pain, tense pain, what it is. And when you noted it, what happened? Did it go on? Did it stop? Did it move? Or what happened to it when you noted it? And at times, there can be sleepiness. If there is sleepiness, if you are able to note it as sleepy, if you noted it, what happened to it? Whether the sleepiness continue or whether the sleepiness stop or disappear. And if mental emotions arise, such as upset, if it arises, whether you are able to note it, what happened to it when you note it? Whether it continues or becoming stronger or less or disappear. So in the sitting meditation, whatever object it is, whether it is physical or mental, if they come obvious, note as it is, and you must know what happened to it when you noted it. In the walking meditation also, while you in the first part of the walking, you are noting right, left, whether you can be mindful of each step or not, you have to report. And when you note the two steps, lifting, placing, are you able to pay attention of the lifting from the very moment the foot is lifted all the way through until lifting finishes? If you are able to note what happened when you note lifting? What do you notice? Do you just know it as lifting? Do you notice the shape of the foot? Do you notice the manner of lifting? Or do you notice nature such as lightness or what? The same goes with the moving forward and placing. If you are able to note them, what is it that you come to notice when you move, when you place? So whatever object that you are noting, pay attention to it, note it well, so that you come to know what it is. There is an example. When someone is eating, if someone is eating without paying attention to the food, if the mind is on something else, the person doesn't know the taste of the food if the person doesn't pay attention. But when the person pay attention, chew properly, then the person knows the flavor, the taste of the food, whether it is sweet or sour or bitter. Because the person chews properly and pay attention, the person knows the flavor of the food. In the same way, when the yogi is noting the object, whether it is rising, falling, or sitting, touching, or lifting, moving, placing, or standing, turning, bending, stretching, whatever the object yogi is noting, if the yogi pay attention, yogi can come to know the nature of the object that they are noting, just as one knows the flavor of the food while chewing properly, paying attention. In the same way, when yogi notes properly, paying attention to whatever object yogi is noting, yogi can come to know the nature that is compared to the flavor of the food. So do not be discouraged if the yogi has not noticed anything. What the yogi has to do is be mindful every second. Be mindful of whatever object is obvious. Pay attention, focus the mind on it. As long as the mind is fully on the object that has been noted, the moment that the mind is fully on the object that has been noted, defilement such as greed, hatred cannot arise. At the moment the yogi's mind is on the object, at the moment yogi is mindful of the object, in this way, so long as the mind is fully on the object that the yogi is noting, at that very moment, the mind is fully on the object, defilements do not arise, and thus the mind is pure and clean. That is the immediate benefit of being mindful of the object. Yogi gets the benefit immediately, moment by moment, of being mindful. If the yogi is mindful for one moment, for that moment, the mind is pure and clean for that moment. Now I will go on to talk some excerpts from a sutta. It is called Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. So this Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta was given by the Buddha in Rajagaha. And in the beginning of the sutta, there explains how this teaching took place, and it is very interesting. This sutta was taught by the Buddha inside a pot workshop, a workshop where the pots were made. Buddha arrived in Rajagaha. It was late already. In Rajagaha, there was a Veluvana monastery, but Buddha didn't go to the monastery. It was quite late at night. So Buddha went to this pot workshop, which was a little distant from town, and asked the owner, Buddha asked the owner, if it is not a burden, I would like to spend a night in this workshop. The owner, Bhagawa replied that it is not a problem for him to let the Buddha stay, but there is already an ascetic who had arrived earlier. And Buddha asked permission to the ascetic whether Buddha can spend the night there. And the ascetic replied, the workshop is spacious, so please make yourself comfortable. So Buddha went into the workshop and spread a grass mat, and then sat cross-legged, and then absorbed in Palasamapati, fruition, absorption. What the commentators say about this workshop is that this workshop, during the daytime, they make pots. Usually during that time, the earthen pot or the clay pots. So during the daytime, they make pots. At nighttime, people, especially ascetics or monks, when they are traveling, and then if they happen to arrive at night, it is free for them to spend a night there. The workshop, during the daytime, they make pots. So in the workshop, there are broken pot here and there, the broken pieces of pot here and there. During the daytime, chicken or pigs may go into the workshop, so you can imagine what they leave behind. In such kind of humble place, Buddha stayed on a grass mat, sitting, meditating, going into Palasamapati. So this is because Buddha foresees that by teaching here in this pot workshop, there is an individual person who will become enlightened. Buddha foresaw this. If Buddha didn't come here, then this person would have died without having any attainment. Because Buddha foresaw that this person's life, there is only a matter of a short time that remains in his life. If Buddha didn't come, he would have passed away without attaining anything. If Buddha gave him the teaching, he would attain 3 stages of Magga before he passed away. That's why, foreseeing this person's potency to attain Magga, Buddha came to this humble place to teach. For most of the night, Buddha was also sitting cross-legged, absorbed in the Palasamadati. The ascetic who had arrived earlier were also sitting cross-legged, absorbed in his meditation. So most of the night has passed by where Buddha and the ascetic were sitting quietly, peacefully, with meditation. So time is up already. I will continue this sutta the next day.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.